Let's get the new year started off right, both in the home and the garden. We've got a great show coming up next. Hi, I'm Alan Smith. Welcome to the show. You know, around the first of the year, we all are dealing with those New Year's resolutions, like cutting back on caffeine, which is always hard for me to do, or cutting back on sweets to lose a little weight. Some of those aren't so fun, but there are some resolutions we can do that can actually make the planet a better place. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's show, how you can take your little piece of the planet and make it a greener place. And it's easier than you think. Just like this young lady did. Meet April Ambrose. And when April was a college student, she set out to help young school children learn about good environmental principles as laid out in the Earth Charter.
My main goal, of course, is to bring it to children, because children are our only link to the future. Kids can do everything. Kids are such a vital process. They are the ones that are going to take this information past the generations, so they are the ones that are going to be able to implement it. I think other people should become involved in the Earth Charter because it is a common worldview that we can all adhere to that will bring us into a better world.
So you see, just like April, all of us can make a difference in our communities. Coming up, tips for reducing, reusing, and recycling on the home front, building better soil through compost, and garden ornaments that take trash and turn them into modern art. Plus, we'll take a look at how to start seedlings in eggshells. After the break, we'll hear about challenges facing our environment and how our small efforts can have big impacts. So stay with us. Our great country is full of amazing parks and protected lands, and who doesn't enjoy getting outdoors for sights like these? We can thank the many conservation organizations that over the years have protected these amazing vistas, provided fresh drinking water, and preserved lands where people and wildlife can interact. Among the organizations making a difference is the Sierra Club.
The Sierra Club is the nation's oldest and largest environmental organization. We've been around since 1892. The Sierra Club was also very instrumental in passing the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act in the 1970s. One thing that we do is work to mobilize citizens to protect our air and protect our water. Earlier this year, the Sierra Club worked with a group of citizens to protect this waterway right behind us, which is a primary source of drinking water. It was being threatened by development, was going to be polluted, but citizen action made the difference and in the end saved the drinking water right behind us. You can do everything from getting involved in a political campaign to recycling, to composting, to just conserving the energy that you use in your house and in your car. Working together, everybody can make a difference in protecting the environment.
Now let's get busy making change in our own backyards. Coming up, Composting 101, and next, unique ways to start seedlings. Welcome back. I'm sure you're getting loads of these seed catalogs in the mail this time of year. I know I certainly am. And I'm certainly looking forward to adding colorful plants and vegetables into my garden in the coming months. So if you're like me, you're probably making a wish list of seed to order. Now, once those seeds come in, I've got a simple little project that you may want to involve your grandchildren or children in. It's really simple. You just take an eggshell. This one is a half of an egg. What you want to do is just pierce the bottom for a drain hole. I use an ice pick for this. Just drive the ice pick through the, here we go, just like that. And then I just take some soil and fill each one of these. Kids love this project. Just takes a little bit of soil, and you want to use a blend of soil that is designed for starting seedlings. Now with the soil in place, you're ready to plant them, and you can use a variety of seeds. I've planted lettuce in these, certainly tomatoes and little peppers are fun to grow. particularly for children. Now, what I would do is put 2 or 3 seed in each one of these. You can thin them out later. And I start them about 4, maybe 5 weeks before I plan to plant them out into the garden. And what's great about these little eggshell cups is you can plant the shell and all right in the ground once the seedlings are up and ready to move out into the garden. Now, if using eggshells is a little messy for you, you can use the egg cartons, particularly these paper cartons. They work out really well. Just fill them with soil, plant the seed, and then when it's time to transplant them out in the garden, you can just take a pair of scissors and cut out each of the individual plants and plant them directly into the soil. Now, what's nice about these paper cartons is that they're biodegradable. They'll decompose in the soil, which is not the case with the ones made from styrofoam. Now, if you want to create some drama in the garden and get kids excited, try some hyacinth bean vine or moonflower seed in these trays. They can make quite an impact in the garden. Now, if you're looking for another activity that involves the entire family and at the same time create some garden art, you might try creating an old-fashioned bottle tree. Felder Rushing is well known for his colorful garden anecdotes, and his list of accomplishments, well, it's just too long to list. But fortunately, this 10th generation Southerner found some time between projects to talk with us about his passion for bottle trees.
People have always accessorized, painting things on the walls of their caves, hanging stuff out of holes in their ears, so it's a real natural to want to put things in your windows. And a lot of people have always put glass bottles in their windows because it's pretty. And a lot of people just take that out into the landscape. But historically, bottle trees go back to Africa when there was this idea that bottles put out in the landscape would attract bad spirits at night and trap them. And in the morning, the sunshine would destroy them. People who have bottle trees look for bottles anywhere we can get them. And the hardest to find are blue. I mean, really hard to find is a real red bottle, but blue bottles are they're the most popular for bottle trees. And there's real fancy wines. There's a bottled water that you'll pay like $8 a bottle for. There's a lot of people will buy a certain beverage just because it's in a blue bottle. Whether they use the beverage or not, who cares? But blue is hard to come by. Usually people get one at a time, and I can look at all the ones in my yard and tell you pretty much where they all came from. Well, I've got the kind of peripheral vision that trashy people have. You know, gardeners are always looking for bowling balls and accessories, so anything that's colorful, that catches a little sunshine or reflects it, whether it's a gazing ball or a bottle tree or mirror, anything like that catches my eye. To me, a bottle tree that's really good is one that's homemade. I got an old Christmas tree with the limbs bobbed back and bottles stuck on it, or maybe some crepe myrtle branches or a dead cedar tree. Instead of cutting it down, they just hang bottles or stick bottles over the branches. And I've seen them done both ways, either bottles full of colored water hanging in the trees, or else most commonly just the branches cut back to about finger size and different color bottles set on them. Most people like really, really colorful kinds with all different kind of bottles. Sort of like a kaleidoscope having a stroke, okay? But I like solid blue. One of my favorite bottle trees has got just green and clear bottles. It's not very showy, but it sparkles and it brings a little color to the garden, and it captures my imagination. And once you see a bottle tree, then all of a sudden you start seeing them pop up everywhere. And it's like it brings in a new element to your eye, to your appreciation of other people's gardens.
I have to say, Felder's bottle trees are certainly colorful and inspiring. Now, up next, we'll take care of our gardens from the ground up using recycled materials right after the break. You know, it really helps me to think of the environment at large in the same way I think about my own backyard, which is why I always try to follow an organic approach to gardening. When I have problems with pests, I try to use the least invasive form of action first, such as using beneficial insects like ladybugs, or spraying plants with a homemade soap mixture. All of the activity you see going on here is just one example of how Americans are really getting into being green. This is a recycling center where people involved in curbside or drop-off recycling programs send their paper, glass, plastic, and other recyclable household waste. Believe it or not, the average American throws away 4 pounds of garbage every day. By simply recycling, we can cut the waste stream by up to 80%. Being green is really all about being aware of our daily activities and how these impact our living planet. And there are a lot more opportunities to be green than you might think. For instance, not only is it important to send our waste to places like this, it's equally important to purchase products that are made from recycled materials. By doing this, we complete the circle of the recycling process. So when shopping, look for the recycling symbol indicating that the packaging or the product itself is made from recycled materials. Now, composting is one of the best ways I find to be a greener citizen. If you garden throughout the year, you're going to produce yard waste. It's just inevitable. Now just think of all the healthy clippings and debris that you create through pruning and cutting grass and raking leaves. Instead of contributing to the landfill problems, why not just compost these items yourself? You know, it's really easy. Just find an area that's out of the way in your garden. For me, I designed an area in my garden that's fenced off for compost, plant deliveries, and storage. I call it the heel yard. You see, what you're really looking for is an area where you can layer brown and green materials. The green can take the form of spent plants or grass clippings, and the brown, well, the best example of all is all those fall leaves. Now, the thing you want to avoid is any diseased material, because this will just carry the disease from this season into the next. Now, this combination of green and brown materials accelerates the decomposition process. The nitrogen in the green helps break down the carbon-rich leaves. Now, another byproduct of gardening is all of the branches and stems that you create cutting your trees and shrubs. Now, to give them a life, a second life, what I like to do is to go in and trim off all the side branches like this and produce stakes that I can use later in the garden to support other plants. Okay, now it's time to take a look at some viewer mail. Today we have a question from April in Virginia. She writes, "Alan, the year before last I saved some seed from my garden, but I forgot to plant them the next year. Can I plant them this year?" Well, April, let's take a minute and talk about some of the things that you need to know when saving seed. You see, I store leftover store-bought seeds as well as seeds from the garden in labeled, airtight plastic bags, film canisters, or glass jars. I've had the best luck with seeds that I've kept indoors rather than in my tool shed or garage. I simply place them in a cool, dry location. Now note, when you store your seeds that you've collected from the garden, you need to make sure that they've been thoroughly dried before placing them in storage containers. Now back to April's question. If you've stored the seed properly, when it comes time to plant them, you can check the seed's viability with a very simple test. All it takes is some paper towels, plastic bag, and some water. What you want to do is just flatten out a paper towel like this, and then take the seed. I use about 10 of the same variety, and just place them on the paper towel. Whoops, got a few more than 10 there. Let's put them back. Move them all to the center like this, and then just take some water. Just moisten them like this, and then fold the towel over. The seed will then think they're planted. And then just take this paper towel and slide it in a plastic bag and put it in a warm place, like on top of your refrigerator. Don't seal the bag, and check it from day to day. Within about a week, you should know whether the seed are viable, because they will begin to germinate, and then you can determine whether to go ahead and invest your time and energy in planting them in the garden. Now let's shift gears a minute, and I want to show you 3 areas in my garden that I use to pot up seed. The first is a shelf on the side of my tool shed. You see, this is hinged so I can fold it up when it's not in use. It's a prime place for potting almost anything, and it sure gets a lot of use in the spring. The second is my lath house, where I can store plants and protect them from the elements and pot them up when I have time. It's great for when it's too cold to be working outside. The third is my loggia. This is just outside my back door and allows easy access to this old armoire, which provides plenty of storage for potting supplies. I don't know about you, but I've really gotten into some of the heirloom tomatoes, but you can't always find those varieties in the nursery, so of course I pot up my own seed and grow them and plant them in the garden. They're wonderful. If you'd like more information on growing tomatoes from seed, plus lots of varieties you may want to choose, check out my website. That's pallansmith.com. So how about a recipe from an award-winning chef that makes the most of garden-fresh tomatoes? We'll meet up with Chef Regina Charbonneau to get her recipe for cast-iron vegetables with smoked tomato coulis. That's all next. The hospitality of my friend Regina Charbonneau just can't be beat. On this visit, she showed us how to make up a batch of her cast-iron vegetables with a smoked tomato coulis.
Your basic tomato coulis has canned diced tomatoes, fresh carrot, pickled jalapeno, roasted garlic, fresh basil, and onion. And to give it my touch and make it just a little special, I smoke some fresh Roma tomatoes. Now, if you don't have time, I'm going to give you a shortcut that I do during rainy times or cold weather. I'm going to add liquid smoke to olive oil and mix it, drizzle over the tomatoes, then add a little sea salt and cracked black pepper to the tomatoes. So these are ready to go into the oven, and this is what the finished product is like. While these were roasting, I had these ingredients cooking over a medium heat for 30 minutes. When the carrots are soft, you know that your coulis has cooked long enough. I take those ingredients and put them in the food processor. Then I add my smoked tomatoes to that. The key is to not over puree this dish. So I use the pulse button a few seconds at a time. Now this is the consistency I'm looking for. Let's move over and get our vegetables ready for the hot skillet. Today I've chosen to use eggplant and zucchini. Now I add salt and pepper, dried herbs, and olive oil. We're going to toss it, and we're ready to take it to the skillet. You get your skillet white hot, you add your vegetables. You'll know when they're done when you have them blackened on both sides. Then you take the vegetables and you layer them in an individual springform pan. Okay, so when you finish your vegetables, you unmold your springform pan and put it in the center of a plate, and then you're going to spoon your tomato coulis on it. And there you have it, your cast iron vegetables with smoked tomato coulis.
Well, that's it for today's show. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And can you believe it? I've eaten almost all of that candy. Well, so much for New Year's resolutions. Anything in today's show that you'd like more information on, just check out my website. That's palensmith.com. Until next time, from the garden, I'm Alan Smith.
In this garden I dream of a bed of flowers. Bluebirds sing of the beauty all around us. And every time the sun comes out, I can't help but smile. Oh, no, I can't help but smile.